Hey everyone, it is Wednesday. You know what that means? That means it's hump day. And every single hump day means Humpday Happy Hour with Dennis in the Know. This is your backstage pass for current trends, politics, and education in the dental world. It is live and it's over a little cocktail, or perhaps if you're not drinking, maybe just some very fine H2O. In fact, that's what I'm doing tonight. It's been a hard weekend in Las Vegas, so doing a little recovery. Anyway, our job here at Dennis in the Know is to give you everything out there in an honest, vetted, and in an unpretentious way. And that's what I think we do really well. I'm here with my co-hosts, as usual, Dr. Chad Duplantis and Dr. Jennifer Bell. And the three of us together are here to bring you in the know. We are all dentists, we are all educators, and we are all business owners. And by the way, this program today is brought to you by our educational partners at Mango Voice. So we're really excited to have our guest from Mango today, Richard May. Many of you in the dental world already know him. But for right now, guys, let's bring some people in the know. How's it going? How's your week?
Man, it's so much fun. How's your week?
Is it?
I'm tired.
Mhm.
I'm
Yeah.
tired.
I
It's
think
been one
we're
of those.
all a little tired. That's how it's coming across here.
Well, the joke last week was who decided an election, time change, and Halloween could all be within like 72 hours of each other. Let's do the news.
Let's do the news.
Let's do it. All right, team. So we're going to focus mostly today on a little hot button issue that actually started, I would like to say, Dentists in the Know were one of the first ones to talk about it when we talked about a case out in California with a judge that pushed fluoridation of water back to the EPA and basically said you have to go back and review the data, review the science and the literature to make sure that you can still justify water fluoridation. So that happened about 2.5 months ago. And then lo and behold, we know we had an election a week ago, 2 weeks ago, and we started to see some interesting news articles also pop up from Robert Kennedy Jr., who was also starting to talk about one of his first initiatives, if Trump were to win, would be to start looking at fluoridation in the water system. He also believes that the fluoridation of water may be contributory to some other health conditions. I think we're all just sort of relying on literature, frankly, to continue to tell the story. But the interesting thing is he also cited that case out of California that pushed it back to the EPA to say, okay, we've been doing this program for 40, 50 years now. It's time to start showing the literature for or against the program. We should have enough data. And quite frankly, if the data exists, this should be a no-brainer. We should be able to come forward, show the validation of why we need fluoridation in the water system, and then we'll be able to move forward. We'll see if that actually happens. I don't know. But it's interesting to see the fluoridation water discussion coming top of list, and where dentists might actually be very integral in the part of discussing this particular probably future legislation and also future regulatory action, potential change that could be happening in the municipal water system. I'm already seeing a ton of chatter about for and against whether or not this change would be important. But again, I always go back to the data and the literature. We don't actually have to argue the merits of the program for or against. We just have to look at the data to justify the decision. So if what we believe is true, and if as dentists we believe that the fluoridation of municipal water sources has value to the general population, then the data should support that. And if we don't have the data to support it, then shame on us for allowing the program to continue for 50 years and not having built a scientific literature database to say that, yes, this is in fact the best for our public space. And let that be a challenge. You now are on the clock. It is time to start gathering that data to determine whether or not this is in the best interest of public health. Has the rinse market, the toothpaste market, the trickle down effect of the fact that it's in almost all sodas, juices, etc., has all of that now amassed to a point where patients are getting exposed to fluoride in every consumable that they touch? We should know these things. We owe that to the population, to the patients that we have sworn to protect. I don't know how this whole debate will shake out, but we as scientists and as medical providers should always be going back to data and science to drive our decision making, not emotion and not belief, but data. One other interesting article that came out this week, made national news in the USA Today, was how rich physicians are, and also didn't leave our fellow dentists out of the space. So they noted that doctors in the US are some of the most richest individuals that live in this country, and includes dentists, in fact, oral surgeons, orthodontists, and specialty practices. Now, the interesting thing about this that I have to take a bit of issue with the paperwork. I don't know how many physicians are self-employed. I couldn't even venture to guess, frankly. But I know that a good percentage of dentists and dental surgeons and specialty practices are self-employed. Now, let me tell you, if you're basing it off of my tax records, I look way more rich than I actually am. Why? Because I'm a small business and we have pass-through income that comes through the profitability of the practice, not the actual income that comes home to the practitioner. So I do take a bit of umbrage of this particular article to say that maybe we should be citing the source of where the income statistics are coming from, because those individuals that are reporting an income of 400,000, 500,000, whatever, is the profitability of that practice and not necessarily the amount of income that they are allowed to take home, because most of that profitability is then going to pay the debt services on their mortgage payments in their practice and the technology investments they are constantly making. Because as we know, dentists are constantly striving to be on the cutting edge of the technology that's being offered. And we provide a fantastic high-level service to our patients that comes often at the cost of the take-home pay for their practitioners. And with that, that's the news.
Damn, you got passionate tonight.
Yeah, that was a great segment. Like that, I think. What are we gonna have? The Streamies? What are the awards?
Oh,
for
the Streamies?
The Cuspies.
Streamies? I'm nominating you for a Streamy on that one.
A Streamy
Yeah.
award.
Yeah, that was good.
It was very good, and
Gosh, thank you.
yeah, and I agreed with literally every.
Well,
word
that's why
that
we're
was spoken.
friends. But I'm sure I'll get basted
Well,
online.
you
It's
will,
fine.
but you'll get based it on emotion, and the first emotion that comes to mind when it comes to fluoride is, yes, it served a purpose. It actually helped not eradicate, but help bring one of the most common, one of the most prevalent diseases in children, which was dental caries, and it helped bring that under control
For sure.
very nicely. And especially when you talk about areas where there was lack of access to care, and a lot of people didn't have the means for proper dental care, and it really did change the face of dental health for a long time. But as you said, shame on us for not following. We knew 1 part per million was correct in the water, but not in everything that you drink, in
Right.
normal consumption, not in every food product. So what are we actually getting now? Nobody knows. And
Then
and
add all your consumable products,
yeah.
right? Toothpaste, mouth rinses, and a myriad of other things that we do for patients. Like, all I'm saying is as with Kois, and I learned to be a very educated consumer of information. Like the data has to back it up. And if it's what you believe, the data will be there to justify the decision. And if Robert F. Kennedy is wrong in his assumption, then the data will prove that he is wrong. But we can't continue to do things just because it's the way we've always done it without, we don't do that in our practices. We don't keep doing stuff the way we've always done it and then watch it just flush down the toilet. No, we reinvent, we relook, we reanalyze, we look at the data to make decisions to move forward. And we have to do this
down the cuspidor.
The cuspidor.
Yeah.
That is one thing I'm not sad that it's gone.
No,
not even a little bit.
Nor am I.
No. Having watched many of them as an intern.
Ew.
Bye, Felicia. To the cuspidor.
All right. Well, we have an incredible guest. As I said, today's show is being brought to you by our educational partners at Mango Voice. They have been amazing educational partners. Great group to work with, great technology, and great people behind the technology. So, Chad, would you like to introduce Richard for us?
It would be a great honor to introduce Richard. Jeff, would you bring Richard up while I introduce him?
I have a finger for that.
Richard May. I tell you, Richard is just one of the genuinely nice guys in dentistry. If you follow social media, I guarantee you've seen Richard Mayday all over the place. But Richard is from Rockland, Idaho, and I actually had to look up where that is. It looks like it's in the southeast corner of Idaho, a little bit north of Utah. Grew up on a family farm. I'd imagine that area of Idaho is absolutely beautiful. Alongside 6 siblings. And there is where he learned the value of hard work and teamwork early on, as well as a deep appreciation for the outdoors and community. He played sports, fostered a spirit of collaboration and resilience. He then moved to St. George, Utah to pursue higher education. He had a fulfilling career in public health. He spent a decade dedicated to improving community wellness, health, education, and preventative care. His work in public health allowed him to make a tangible difference, positively impacting lives and communities, a passion that continues to drive him. Following his career in public health, he joined Mango, which is why he's here today, although he's just all around a good dude. But he decided to pursue a new professional chapter, and at Mango, he's allowed to align his values of teamwork, community engagement, and continuous improvement. And I will tell you, I've been very impressed every time I've been around him. He's done a great job for Mango. Mango's a great company. But beyond that, Richard is married, and in about 5 weeks, they will have their first daughter. And I know that he will be a great dad, and we look forward to seeing many photos of this little bundle of joy in a few weeks. But we're honored to have Richard here once again. Just a great guy, great company. And there's some things. Well, he's gone now. I think, Jeff, you deleted him. There he is. He's back. He's gone. He's back. Yeah. So
this is the epilepsy portion of the show.
Richard, besides being like the future star of the next Star Wars movie, what else drives you in life, man? I mean, you look like you should be carrying a lightsaber with a cloak on right now.
Wait, is that an option?
I'm telling you, it's a pretty damn impressive look. I mean, Richard is very cinematic,
Yeah.
So.
This has to be the nicest, best introduction I've ever had in my life. I don't know, even you got me kind of speechless right now. A Jedi
cop.
I'll take it, man.
Are you a Star Wars fan?
I love Star Wars. I'm a total geek. I really am.
We need to get him a Padawan lock.
Yeah. I'll take it. I would take it. Yeah. If my wife is listening, she's laughing because people don't know this about me, but I'm a total nerd. I love sci-fi stuff. Star Wars is one of my favorites. So we could harp on that all night. But No,
At
thanks.
Chicago, come hang out with Jeff and I's boys. They'll be
Yeah.
right up your alley.
Perfect. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Totally will
Might
do.
even start talking in that weird Star Wars language, So,
Yeah.
I'm not so far that I can speak the languages. That goes a little bit beyond me. So I do have limits. With that stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Well, good. Well, welcome, man. We're honored to have you. So.
No, thanks for having me. And I mean, I got to say, you guys have way too much fun on your show. Just sitting, I could have sat back and watched and listened the entire time. And I got to agree with you guys. Jennifer knocked it out of the park with her opening news statement. It was, I was actually like, okay, like this. I'm learning something now. I'm going to tell more people.
She was bucking for a cabinet position, is what I thought was happening there. I'm like,
I would love a tap. I would love a tap. You know what? This could get dentists in the spotlight. If that's the first issue they tackle, that was my audition for associate subsecretary of the sub department that's looking into fluoride. That's what I'm doing.
And I've already got a letter in to RFK Jr. So maybe I need to go back and amend that.
Yes.
It's funny because I was sitting here thinking, and my wife has brought this up to me a lot about fluoridation because she's really kind of following what he's doing. And I'm just like, you know what? It's been around forever. We've been talking about it forever. We've got to look at the science. It comes from different sources. We're not prescribing it. And I'm sitting here as Jennifer's talking. I'm like, my God, this is really coming to the forefront. And I'm like, there needs to be a dentist on the committee. Well, by God, RFK, you found your dentist.
That's right.
I know nothing about fluoride, but I'm very passionate.
Yeah. And she's right there. I'm telling you, yeah. I mean, and hell, if you want
an express up there in DC.
Yeah.
That's all it takes.
Yeah, that's it. Just go start knocking on doors. But anyhow, that's not what we're here to talk about. But I thought it was fantastic as well. So
thank you.
So give us the overview for those of our listeners, Richard, that may not be familiar. I think most people are familiar with Mango by this point because you really had such an impact on the industry. It's been absolutely incredible. But in case anyone out there who's listening isn't familiar with what Mango Voice is and how it integrates with other softwares, maybe just give us the 40,000-foot view of what that is.
Yeah, you bet. So Mango, it's voice over IP phone systems. So your internet phone lines, basically replacing those old landlines that you might have in the dental practice, and really enhancing the communication experience with your patients and with the office as well, just by simplifying and making things easier. People say, well, what's different about Mango? I mean, we're talking about having all your call recordings, all of your voicemail, all of your schedules, all of your text messaging, faxing, all looped together in one place, instead of having a whole bunch of different softwares trying to do all of that for you, and being able to manage that in one place as well. And I think the thing that is most unique about Mango that really stands out to me more than anything is how we treat our customers through customer support. If you ask any single person how excited they get to go stand in line at like Verizon or AT&T to go switch their phone or buy a new phone or to call, yeah, like Jennifer's given the big zero there. Nobody looks for it. Like we put it off to the very last minute. Mango year to date has less than a 1 minute answer rate for support calls, whether it's, hey, I forgot my password, or there's actually an issue, which is kind of a lost art to be able to speak to someone like a live person and be able to get your problem solved on the phone in a quick amount of time. I would say that I would put our support up against any phone company in the country right now, honestly. I very confidently can say that. And people love that. People are drawn to that, just knowing that, hey, if I get Mango, I can talk to someone at any time. And it's a lost art, especially in dentistry today, where everyone is trying to automate things. Everyone is trying to cut costs by outsourcing, or even going as far as using AI to answer calls, which is we're not there yet. We're not AI is not ready to replace humans on the phone, not yet. maybe one day, but not yet. So
So I want to dive into that a little bit deeper, but you hit on something where you something that really resonated because I use Mango in my office. I have for a couple of years. It's been a great transition for us, but you said something like nobody gets excited about going to go change out a cell phone or change out a phone or do something. To me, changing out a cell phone is as painful as buying a car. I mean, it takes just as long to get a new cell phone and sit there and listen to all the crap and get everything transferred over. It's like buying a car. However, when we went with Mango, it is truly plug and play. It's like you get the phones, you're given instructions how to plug them in. And I mean this, and I want everybody to listen to this. It's not a painstaking process. They handle all the legwork beforehand. You get the phones and you plug them in. Now, where we went wrong is there is a way that you have to plug them in. It goes from the landline to the phone to the computer. If you do it wrong, it creates a loop in your system and shuts down your entire office intercommunication.
How do you know that, Chad?
It feels like it's coming from personal experience.
I found that out the wrong way, but I wasn't the one that installed that one phone, Holly. It was just really hard.
I'm totally capturing that and posting it on Instagram.
You totally should. She would get a kick out of it because
there's a Holly has our Friday fail.
Yeah, there you go.
Shoot.
But shoot.
Holly would love it. Holly's a great sport. But the thing is that it's really, truly plug and play. And, you know, it couldn't get any simpler. And, you know, Holly didn't screw anything up. It was just a simple mistake. But we had to call the IT guy out. They're like, yeah, so this one was plugged in the wrong way and everything's just fine. Now all we had to do is switch a couple ports. But it was a smooth transition. And your team, as you said, was amazing throughout the process. So kudos to you all for that.
Yeah, I wish that everything was foolproof. I mean, I wish that there was no mistakes ever. But I can say the other thing that I think when you're talking about the human side of what Mango brings to dentistry, if we make a mistake, if there's something that happens, I've seen us own our mistakes, where I've gotten to know a lot of other dental professionals on the vendor side, and a lot of them are quick to shift the blame or kick the can down the road, or they don't want to take ownership of it. And we've got nothing but great feedback when we own our own mistakes. And and when we say, you know what, that was on us, we're going to make it right though, and then we follow up and get it taken care of. And that resonates with people still to this day. And I don't know why more people don't like follow that path in business, especially with dentists, because they seem to really like it when someone says, you know what, that was on me and I'll get it taken care of. And they're few, and you know, so Holly, you know, it's okay. It happens to everyone, you know.
Well, Richard, you know what? That's how we run our practices too. I know you guys, I'm sure, do that. You know, if we screw up, if something doesn't go the way we either expect it to go in our hands or it just doesn't go, like technology fails us or whatever, like dentists are constantly making it right with the patient. So it's really awesome to partner with companies who share that same philosophy, because we're eating it on the chin too. So when we can partner with somebody else who's also kind of taking that same share of the liability, like it's kind of endearing, frankly, probably to most doctors who would like to have a lot of vendors who also kind of want to participate in that same process.
Yeah, ownership is 9/10 of the law, even with your mistakes. You know, you have to own those too. So we try to do that, and we try to do right by our customers all the time. But
well, yeah, Richard, tell us a little bit about your personal background. You know, growing up on a farm, maybe some about your education, and then, you know, what led you to a Mango, and what's that experience been like?
Okay, so yeah. Chad, you're right. You've never heard of Rockland, Idaho, where I grew up. It is a very small town. We don't even have a stoplight. We have a blinking light in my hometown, and everyone worked on a farm. Everybody, you know, hunted, fished, hiked, camped, played sports. Very small town. It's definitely a little community. I love it though. I love growing up there with a big family. It's a very special place, but. I went to Southern Utah in St. George, and I went there to play football. Actually, I played on a football scholarship at a Division II school. So nothing special, nothing you'd ever hear about. No one would ever go, "Oh, Rich had a chance." I knew that was just to get my education.
Good
and
for
there
you.
was it was, but it was a lot of fun. I enjoy sports a ton. And after college, I started working, with in the public health department with troubled teens is what I was actually focused on. So I was working with a lot of families that were struggling with their kids who were having anxiety or health issues, whether they were overweight or obese, or maybe they were just having a drug problem as well. And my job was to help build out programs, whether with insurance companies or with healthcare providers or with different individuals to get those kids on a better path. And that was a pretty exhausting job, but also a very rewarding job as well. I loved it. And there are other times when I was like, man, there's got to be something else out there. And how I came to Mango is just one of those things where it's right time, right place. So I have an amazing wife, an amazing spouse. I don't think anyone gets anywhere without a really good partner. Mm-hmm. And we were actually at a benefit dinner charity thing. It was really nice, well-to-do, had to dress up kind of thing. And my wife was getting an award. She was, she'd just turned 30, and
was
she
it
was
a Streamy?
It was kind of like that, I think, like a Streamy or like a Dundee, like, like they have little nice. Yeah. Something like that. She like 30 of the most influential people in their 30s. And my wife had only been 30 for 6 months. Awesome. She'd only been 30 for 6 months and already was more influential in her 30s than I had been. So that just, says who my wife is. And at this meeting, or at this dinner that we had, she's getting an award, she's getting honored. I'm just goofing around, being myself, like talking at the table. Lo and behold, the person sitting next to me, who is at our table, had been hired by Kevin Tallman, who you guys know, our Mango CEO, to find someone to run the business development team. And after the dinner was over, we didn't talk about Mango, we didn't talk about phones. When the dinner was over, he just said, "Hey, I don't know if you're looking for a job, but I want you to come do this position at Mango." And I wasn't necessarily looking. I wasn't not looking for a new job, but went, interviewed, met Kevin, and that's how I got the position. And I look back at that, how it had very little to do with any of my experience in telecom or telephony. It had everything to do with just being personable and social at a dinner event, at a random dinner thing that wasn't even about me.
So for those of you that don't know Kevin is another incredibly nice person in dentistry. Kevin is the CEO, is that correct?
Yeah. Yep.
Kevin is the CEO of Mango. I didn't want to mislabel him. I wanted to make sure I handled that correctly. But one of the things I will say about Kevin is anytime we ask him, it's always a yes. And he's a really good guy. That's probably how he got the job. I mean, it's like, oh, hey, Richard, yes. Can Richard have the job? Yes. No, Kevin,
probably. He was probably pretty desperate. He's probably pretty desperate.
Kevin
at the time.
Kevin is a great guy, and you all make a great team. But is Mango, I know you were saying that you met, is Kevin in St. George also?
Yeah. So unique thing about Mango, it's just a locally owned and operated company in southern Utah, in St. George, Utah, and we have an office here. Most people would never know that it's there, but there's about 60 employees that work in that office there, and then another 20 or so that are remote. And we all know each other really well. We all work together really well. Kevin will hate me for this, but he comes in every day in office. He goes to every single person that's working in office that day, gives them a fist bump and asks them how they are and if they need anything. He does that every day, and it's kind of his thing. But I've worked at plenty of organizations before where the leadership doesn't take time to do that. And
sure.
So I think that most people at Mango, I think everyone at Mango actually likes to come into work. They like being there. So that culture spreads out to our customers too, that we have there.
Some
No,
days
and
I
that's
don't even like being at my own office. That's pretty cool.
Mhm.
that's really very, very
I need him to
visible.
come to my office and also ask me how I am.
Yeah, that's really very visible with Kevin. That doesn't surprise me. Once you meet him, he's just a very just a good dude, and that's kind of what I see through the company. Um, what did Kevin's, pardon my ignorance again, did Kevin start Mango?
He didn't start Mango, but he's been there for quite a while now as an owner and operator now. He wasn't the initial founder. But yeah, I mean, Mango was still, it was started right here in St. George, and the individual who created it was looking at other phone providers, and he just did not think that any of them. He thought they were all way too complicated and way too technical sounding.
Mm-hmm.
Like the phone companies were, Citracom, you had AT&T, Verizon, you have Veracity, 8x8, and it's like, what do these names even mean? Like they're just so technical and trying to be too cool. And he was like, why can't things just be simple? And he liked mangoes and picked the name Mango for the company. And people are always like, where does that come from? It's just simply that we wanted to be simple and fun. And most people don't get too angry when they're talking about mango. They don't seem to get upset.
And one of the things I want to point out too is that when I first started looking at Mango, it was very clear, and this came from you all. This is not my verbiage in any way, but there's a lot of companies out there that try and offer all of this stuff. And when I first went to Mango, it was like, we're just a phone company. We're just an easy way. And I mean that, and I'm not knocking that, but at the time, that's kind of what I needed, because I had a lot of other things that did these other things that, we thought we needed. And all we really needed was a phone company for a reasonable price. You all serve that need. But one thing that, I think there were a lot of people that had some desires that we all mentioned to you all. You all listened. And so would you be willing to share some of the changes that you all have instituted over the past few years based upon the input of the consumer?
Oh yeah. I mean, absolutely. So, to speak to what you're talking about, I think it's really hard to do one thing really well. It actually is almost, if you want to talk about Star Wars earlier, it's almost space magic to make voice go through internet lines, broken down into code, come back out as voice that we understand. That is space magic to me, and do it in real time. So it's really hard to make that work, let alone do all these other things. And so Mango's always leveraged itself as a partner with other platforms in dentistry, and we integrate with a lot of different softwares that I think you use in your practices as well. But the feedback that we've gotten over the years has been, hey, when are you guys going to be able to give us more insight on what's happening on these phone calls? So it's like, hey, it's great, I have call recordings, all my calls are recorded, I can go through and listen to all of them, there's ways to search for them. But you're a busy practice owner, you guys are doing what you're doing on a daily basis, you're trying to run your team, you're trying to run your lives. Jennifer's staying up to date on the news, she's running for a cabinet position. It's like, how do you
Very busy.
how do you go through and filter 300 calls and find the ones that are the best for training, or the ones that are problematic? And so Mango has developed AI learning machines that are now giving real-time feedback on those calls, and that's implemented now. So after a call is over, we can flag it now and say, hey, here's your calls that are neutral, good, or bad, and give you real-time feedback on those calls. So hey, if I'm the office manager, or if I'm the practice owner and I'm training new staff members, and I need to know, did these calls convert? Were these calls good? Instead of siphoning through 200 different calls, I can see, oh, these 3 were flagged as poor. I'm going to listen to these calls, and I'm going to see where they went south. And oh shoot, I can give real-time feedback to my team and save the practice a ton of time on that. The other thing that we received a lot of feedback on is how hard it is for practices to get notes on every single phone call, which I think it's something you want. But when you have that many phone calls and you're running a busy practice, for your team to log notes on every single phone call can be difficult. And maybe I'm speaking out of turn. You guys tell me, is that hard? Is that easy? I mean, some teams are a little more focused on it than others, I'm guessing.
It's the thing that will suffer first, even if you ask them and say, I need everything documented. When things get busy, that is one of the first things that will go by the wayside.
Yeah, and the bigger practices, excuse me, the value too is if you have multiple people answering the phone, then if that first person who dealt with this issue first doesn't document it,
That's right.
then the next person that answers the phone is not privy to that information, so they're caught off guard. So now they're trying to like play catch up, and there's no documentation. So we are constantly hammering on our comm logs when we're having these communications with patients, that it's documented, not just for the liability, although that's a huge piece of it, but also for your fellow workers who then need to be privy to the information to kind of like help them out a bit, make maybe not have so many of those poor phone calls, because eventually the patient starts to lose tolerance, right? They've talked to now 4 different people, telling them 4 different things, or having to play catch up to like get back on board or whatever. And eventually it goes south.
So what you're describing there is one of those things, as Chad, you were saying, that customers and doctors have told us, this is a problem. How can Mango address this? So imagine going to your team now and saying, hey, great news, we have Mango, and they're going to automatically write a call summary for us and log it into the comm log, into the patient notes section, so that as we filter through these calls, all the summaries are already there. You don't have to do that anymore. And imagine how much free time that's going to save up, and how much more bandwidth that's going to offer you guys to actually focus on the art of dentistry as opposed to the art of note taking. You don't have to do that. Let Mango worry about that now, because that's what we can do. That's how we're going to make a big difference in dentistry in the next year.
And for everyone listening out there, you integrate with a lot of practice management software platforms. You want to maybe list what some of those are?
Yeah. It's getting to the point now where it's almost easier to list the ones that we don't integrate with than the ones that we do. But yeah, I mean, the major ones: Dentrix, Eaglesoft, Open Dental, Denticon, Dentrix Ascend, Curve, Oryx, Thrive Cloud, Aura is a new one that just came online now. Aspro Dental. I would have to almost get like my list out.
No, but that's great. Just I wanted everyone out there to hear just how many platforms you're working in conjunction with, because when we talked about it starting out as just a phone company, which you did great at, but I think it's important to understand how well your platform integrates with the practice management software programs that are out there.
Yeah, and I mean, that's just another one of those things that, and it does go back to who we are from the very beginning, was let's do what we do really well. Let's focus on voice, and let's let our other partners do the clinical side. Let them do the appointment reminder side, and Mango will focus on what's happening on the phones, and we'll take care of that side. And Kevin, he doesn't like it when I do this, but I'm going to just do this anyway. So if you're wondering, like, well, what kind of impact has Mango had doing business this way in dentistry? So when I started at Mango just under 4 years ago, we were at about 2,000 dental practices, and now 4 years later, there's 10,000 dental practices now using Mango, and that number I think should be talked about more. But Kevin likes to keep things low, so he's probably not going to like this. But it's too late now; the cat's out of the bag. So, like, early announcement here.
Don't worry, Richard. It was one of my questions, so there you go. You can blame it on me, because I think Kevin should be very proud of that number, and I think it speaks volumes as to what you're doing. But one of the things that I notice that you all are doing that I think everybody should take note of is that companies that work with influencers and speakers and whatnot, yeah, they're doing it because they want to promote their business. But one of the things that Mango is very, very supportive of informational dentistry, of educational dentistry, and of influential dentistry. And I think that really speaks volumes of how you've grown to where you are. Kevin sees where it needs to be, but they're also not trying to sell you a bill of goods. They're trying to sell you a product that is beneficial and sustainable in your practice. And so there's a lot that speaks to that number of 2,000 to 10,000 and why 10,000 dental offices have put their trust into Mango. So it's because of the type of company that you all are.
Yeah, and I appreciate that feedback, and I agree with it, and that's one of the reasons I have invested myself in Mango too, and I see a future there because it's a company that's trying to do right by its clients, as opposed to just doing right by itself. So it feels good to work there too, not just like, hey, we're growing, but also we have a good culture and everyone's pretty happy. That's a part of the Mango team too.
So let's talk about this real quick. One of the things that I want to ask about, because this comes up a lot when we're talking about, voice over internet protocol phones. Let's dumb it down a little bit and talk about offices that may not have a good internet connection. I mean, is that something that you run into where those people struggle with internet connectivity? And I'm sure it is still in some rural areas, or is it getting better?
Yeah, so this is probably the most frequently asked question. Like if I were to go back on every sales demo that Mango's had over the last 3 years, that this one probably gets asked almost every time. And it's a funny one for me, because my first week at Mango, I got asked this question and I did not know how to answer it. I know how to answer it now, 4 years later. But when the first time someone asked me that question, what do you do if the internet's bad or the internet goes down? And internet being internet phones, my response was, well, we're the phone company. We've thought of that. Don't worry. Like that was all I could say, which is not, did not like put their fears to bed at all. And knowing a little bit more about Mango now is, yeah, we have thought of it. And what it is that if your internet is choppy, you can use our mobile app, which runs off of your cellular data, which is a really easy thing to do. And for every phone that you have in the office, you can download a mobile app. So if you have 3 phones, you can download the mobile app onto 3 cell phones. I use my mobile app all the time. It works seamlessly. So if your internet ever goes out, the mobile app will ring just fine off of your cellular plan on your cellular phones. And for some of those offices that are having, maybe they have bad internet or poor connectivity, we will network test before we onboard with you. And in some cases, we'll even send out new routers to your office. And this, another thing Kevin doesn't want me to share, but he'll do it at no cost a lot of the time, just because that's the one thing they're missing. They just need an upgrade in the office. And he's happy to just eat that cost and just provide it. And a lot of times that fixes most of their issues. So we'll figure that out before we work with them. And in some cases, we're not a good fit. I'll just be upfront. In some cases, we're not a good fit, and we won't try to bring you on to Mango if it's not a good idea, which I think is a good thing still to this day. I know a lot of companies will be like, just get the cell, just convince the doctor to sign up and just get the cell. But we have plenty of times when, hey, the way that your internet is set up or the way that the phone lines are set up there we're just not the right company for you. And we'll be very upfront with them about that, which I really respect about the way we do business.
That's admirable. Yeah.
And I think there's certain things in dentistry that we can not spend money on and certain things that we should spend money on. And I will say, and I think Jeff and Jennifer would probably agree to this, whenever there's an available upgrade for internet service in our area, I am more than happy to pay it, because everything that we add to our ecosystem just pulls bandwidth and it can really bog things down. So whenever there's an upgrade, I'm all in. And I would encourage every office to do that.
So you got rid of your dial-up, Chad?
I did.
When he picks up the phone.
My email is still chadduplantis@flashnet.com. So, yeah. So yeah, we
Yeah.
got rid of
You have a
dial-up.
MySpace too, don't
We
you?
got DSL now. We're good.
There you go.
Oh,
Yeah.
moving up.
Huge upgrade. Yeah.
No, that you make a good point there. I would say if you're going to try to get the most up to date phones on the market, you should have the most up to date internet on the market too. You shouldn't be trying to get the VoIP phones before you have good internet to sustain them. So, and some people work backwards sometimes, and we will try to educate them on that if they are trying to do that with us.
Yeah.
That's like an ultra 4K HD TV, UHD TV, and just basic cable coming into the house.
Rabbit ears.
Yeah.
Rabbit ears. Yeah.
Probably
Guys,
knew that pretty well up in Rockaway, Idaho, or wherever the hell it was.
Close enough. Rockaway. Yep, that's close enough. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Rockland.
Well, guys,
Rockland.
we're at 9:26, so we're starting to get close to our time. But one of the things, Richard, that you had mentioned was, and we appreciate this from all of our educational partners, is they really try to take care of our Dinks community. And so you had actually mentioned a special offer for anybody who may be listening here, all of our Dinks. So would you like to describe that?
Yep. If anyone, it comes to us from, whether word of mouth from you individuals, or just the Dinks community, or listening to this show, Mango, and they want to sign up for Mango services, we're going to offer free phones. So the physical hardware is free, no contracts, so feel free to cancel anytime, and 3 months of free service. So you're going to get 15 months of service for the price of 12. No hardware costs, no contracts, and we're even knocking 15% off of the advertised price on our website. So if you hear this, reach out to me. We even have like a nice landing page for Dinks that I can drop, in the chat, or I can send over to you guys, and I can post it. I'll post it in the group too, and feel free to fill out that landing page, and we'll get you guys set up.
Oh,
That's amazing.
Yeah, that really is. It's truly appreciated too, and I know our community appreciates it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
You bet.
Well, what do you say, Chad? Would you like to close us out?
I would like to do that. Can I do that? Can I speak again?
Yeah, you're allowed.
When we go back and listen, you've spoken quite a bit, my friend.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, yeah. I think you're just not hearing yourself anymore.
What? No. This came up a couple times this week, and I'm gonna tell you that my business partner was talking to somebody the other day, and they said, "What makes your practice different?" And my business partner said something that Richard said earlier today. He said that if we make a mistake, we own up to it and we make it right. And Richard alluded to that, but in dentistry, in life, in business, it's all about making it right, and it's all about taking care of your customer, whether that be a patient, whether that be a dentist, whoever your customer is. You always got to take care of it, and you always have to have very high ethical standards, high moral standards, and you have to do the right thing. And I would say that Mango truly does that. So Kevin, Richard, you're doing a great job at Mango. We thank you for being here. We thank you for upholding the standards that at least the three of us like to uphold in our practices, and that we like to convey to people. And that'll carry you a long way. So it's more than a phone. They're doing a lot that they may not admit to, but I will tell you, the value of this AI that's coming forth is something that I see huge value for in my practice, and something that I really, really want as soon as it's available with my software. So thank you all for what you're doing. Thank you all for the wonderful Dinky deal. Please stay tuned to Richard's post tomorrow. That's going to have the Dinky deal, the special offer for our members. And thanks again to Mango for being a great partner of Dentists in the Know. Thank you for being a sponsor of the show. And we'll see you next time.
Okay. Good night.
Have
Thanks,
a great
Richard.
night.
Thanks, everybody.
And that wraps wraps up another podcast for Dentists in the Know. On behalf of Dr. Jennifer Bell, Dr. Chad Duplantis, and myself, remember that we've got a great profession, so let's make it a great day, Dinks.